family and every former Lobo great, every former Lobo of the past, coaches, fans, everybody, because we lost Kelvin Scarborough yesterday. And after we talk to Bill Wiley, we're gonna go back and revisit the interview we did with Kelvin Scarborough about a month ago, right here on the Henry T Show. So a sad day for all of us, but a happy day when we remember the great life that Scar lived. And we all shed a tear yesterday because he was such a loved man. Wow. And we miss him dearly already. So don't go away after we've talked to Bill Wiley, because Bill's gonna fill it up with his how would you say, wild, wily personality. We welcome Bill Wiley to the show today, live from Arizona, where he's basking in the sun at 95 degrees, our state's most accomplished triathlete, in my opinion. And he married the homecoming queen. He's lived a great life. How are you, Bill Wiley?
Very good, Henry T. Good to see you again. I have followed you for many years. One correction, I live in New Mexico. Diane and I live in New Mexico 6 months and 6 months down here. So I'll be back in April.
Wow. What temperature is it there in Arizona today?
Well, right now it's like 61 and it's going to get up to 71. So it's not in the 90s, thank goodness.
You know, you're a fun guy. You stay in shape. And I mean, you don't look 190 years old. You look very young. You're strong. You're a distance runner that everybody knows about. You've got a trophy case filled with medals and trophies. You're, in my opinion, the finest triathlete in New Mexico, and you always have been competitive. How about the toughest sport there is, of which you are a competitor? Man, only the meanest, baddest, most courageous people are triathletes. Why that sport?
Well, first of all, I got a short attention span, so I need to swim and run and bike. And I was always a pretty decent swimmer, and I kind of got started with Art Garden Schwartz helped me, and Gary Johnson, my friend, and John Brown. And so I got into that in my late 20s because I really didn't compete in high school, because I got cut from the baseball and basketball and football team. I was 6'1", 131 pounds, and they didn't want. So I swam in high school, but other than that, so I like doing and I've also done the quadrathlon in Grants, where you run, bike, ski, and snowshoe up to the top of Taylor and back down again. That's the most grueling race I've ever done. That's more than any marathon, but it's a fun thing to do. It's a good group of people, and you get to buy neat toys like bikes and shoes and helmets and all that cool stuff.
Well, down deep inside the competitive Bill Wiley is courage, because the pain that you experience is pain that few athletes, few people that are in great shape, they don't want to take your challenges because it's painful. I don't want to over exaggerate something you know so well, but how painful is it to be a triathlete?
Well, it depends on your level. I've been, pain and heat. That's what bothers me the most. I don't like running really or competing over 50 degrees, but world-class guys, have pain. But, the important thing for me was not necessarily to win, because I've only won one national championship, but the important thing is to finish in the top half. And I'd have 5 goals. Like, first goal would be to finish. Second would be to beat all the women. Then third is to beat some people in my age group, and then win my age group, and then win overall. So I have these little goals, and just being out there and accomplishing some of them gave me a lot of satisfaction, and especially that cold beer and an ice cream. I always had one of each of those after the races.
Well, let me ask a rhetorical question, but how does being a triathlete and still running and competing and staying in shape help the overall quality of life for you?
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I put some thought to this, and it's my health, which is physical and mental, is very important to me. And as far as my health, of course, I try to eat good. My wife is a great cook and uses first generation foods. And I work out with, exercise bands, and go and run and go to the gym and lift. I get enough sleep. I get at least 7 hours of sleep. I reward myself when something does well. But on the mental side, which is just as important to me, I've had dogs all my life. That's made a huge difference in my life. And I volunteer. Diane and I volunteer. I've been in Big Brothers, and I've been a coach in Little League, All Faiths Receiving Home, and I donate blood. I've been president of the Zoo Society and NDI. Diane and I donate to NDI, United Food Bank, Roadrunner Food Bank, and United Way. Those are our big ones, but we enjoy giving back, and putting those two things together, the mental and the physical, has made our lives very enjoyable, and it's something we all can do at different levels.
Wow. I'm not sure if you're acquainted with Ron Maestas, the great cross-country coach at Highlands University. An amazing man. He's got a compelling story, but he learned teaching cross-country from scratch. When he got hired, they gave him a book. Now you're the cross-country coach, they told him at Highlands. And that's a true story. But he tells me about the pain that runners and triathletes endure. And they have a mountain that they train on up in Highlands. Training. How do you train? That's got to be painful enough. But in the midst of competition, when you got people around you, they're after the same goal you are. They want to win that blue medal. Competing at that sort of pace, I really want you to spell out the competitive pain. The floor is yours.
Right. Well, the pain, and I can tell you on pain, as I went through competing, I was able to handle pain better. I could handle, originally I would have a little pain and I would start slowing down. But pain is not something that is super difficult for me. And I don't know why, but when I'm competing, if I get to really painful, I will back off a little bit. I'll back off, especially if it's anaerobic pain. I don't want to do that, because in my mind it hurts, but I also know it's going to hurt me as far as my time if I don't back off. And I try to keep hydrating, but it's hard to explain on the pain side. I never let it get so it's unenjoyable for me and say, I'll never do this again. So it's something that is, I think pain is a very personal thing. And, some people really will push themselves because they want to be the best. And for me, the phrase I go by is perfect is the enemy of good. I just want to be good.
Wow. Have you ever endured so much discomfort out there, pain? I keep resorting to that word, where you felt like quitting because it was just a bad day, or the weather was so furious against the human body I mean, how rough can it get out there?
Yeah. Well, you're talking as far as what I first think of as a quadrathlon. When you go up and in February, we race to the top of Mount Taylor and Grants. And I've been in it where the snow has been blowing in your face and your fingers are stone cold. But I remember, I think in my mind, I say, you know, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to get frostbite because it's not that cold. And also what I've done at Henry, the hardest part in that race. So what you do is you bike, then you uphill, you run uphill, you ski uphill, then you snowshoe to the top, then you flip around, you snowshoe down, ski down, run down, and bike down. Well, twice when I did it, I walked the downhill on the run. I was so trashed. And people said, I went by you, Wiley, and you were swearing at yourself for being there. So, you know, it can get to me, but as you know, have had pain, and you know that after 4 or 5 months, you know, it kind of goes away and you forget it and you only remember the good stuff.
Well, I've heard stories about hallucination and where the mind goes. Is that literally true?
Well, for me, I'm the pain has never been a factor for me because you know, I don't really press, you know, like Gary Johnson does or Art Gardenschwartz. Those two guys, you know, are like way above me in level of competition. You know, Gary has mountain biked from Canada to Mexico 3 times, and Diane and I had dinner with him about 3 months ago. He said he's going to do it again, and he's going to be almost 70 years old, you know, so he would be a good guy to have on too. I think you would. Yeah.
As long as we don't talk politics.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
No, you know, and I admire him, but I admire you. And I want to go right to the mountaintop, no pun intended. Where did you win the national championship?
I won it. It was a senior games in it was in Florida, just outside of Orlando, Winter Lake, I think it was called. At any event, I was in my early 50s and I flew out there and I got there and I left my bike shoes in Albuquerque. I didn't have my bike shoes. I had my bike, my helmet, everything. So I had to go to a store and they had a pair of shoes, honest to goodness, that I was looking at for a year that I wanted to buy, and they were 30% off. And so I bought a new pair of shoes. And, you know, that might have given me because I won by about 8 seconds. It might have given me the needed part that I wanted. But, you know, it was a swim, bike and run. And I thought, because there was a guy that was older than me that actually finished ahead of me. So I thought I was second until they came up and said, no, you won your age group. The guy that beat you was in his 60s. So now, that was, there was 18 people in my race.
Both, like this gentleman, for example, when you both see the finish line and there's the crowd cheering you on and you don't have anything left, how do you dig deep inside for what is left?
Well, you work as hard as you can, and you got to realize, I always think of my form. You know, I don't want my legs to splay. I want to keep my head up, you know, and I want to really breathe deeply and not shallow. I think about that and, you know, just keep the form because the effort's there, but you got to keep your form, which, as you know, when you get fatigued, it can, you know, it can go awry. So that's what I thought of in that race. I almost caught him, but it was a fun thing. I was very, very happy with myself.
Where are you from? Who inspired you to be the great athlete you are, to be the great husband that you are, the father that you are? Who inspired you in life's beginning of Bill Wiley to do all these great things?
Well, I had 3 men in my life that were inspiration. The first was my swim coach when I was in high school. and he taught me work, some athletic work effort. The second was my drill sergeant. I got drafted in 1969 and went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, because I grew up in Connecticut. And he's the one that made me think that, because I was ahead of the platoon, he put me as head of platoon, and I had some benefits. I took advantage of them, and he busted me right there. He said, I trusted you, Bill, and I disappointed him. But it made me think, if you're in a position of leadership, you have obligations to those people, whether it's financial or family. And the third one was, as you would know, Gig Brummel gave me my job in 1984 as a stockbroker with Dean Witter and Morgan Stanley. And he gave me an opportunity to be in a business that I was fortunately able to succeed in 28 years, and made a difference in my life. Gig being a minor league baseball player and all Big Sky, and he was a tremendous athlete, and he hired athletes too. So that's what helped me get the job. So those are the three people that were the big difference in my life.
Bob and Dad, what did they do for you?
Well, my parents gave me a work ethic too, like these three men did, but they gave me an ethical ethic about how you treat people and how your word is. And my father said, you know what, you apologize easily, but do it once. You don't have to keep doing it. And they gave a shelter, and we grew up in a little rural town, and my father was a little local mayor there in town, and he had a hardware store. And he worked another job. He worked at Tool and Die at Sikorsky and Pratt and Whitney Aircraft back in outside of New Haven, Connecticut. So, and my mom, there was 4 kids, and she was, had to handle that, and she worked part-time in a doctor's office. And so we were out in the country doing our stuff, and we were, we had to come home all the time, but, all 4 of us, I'm the oldest of 4, all of us have been, I say, at the risk of being immodest, assets to this country. And my brother served in the Marines. My father was in the Marines, and my sisters have been good citizens of the U.S. And it was just an environment in that town in Haddam, Connecticut, that
I want to go to that. And I say thank you for serving our country in the military. You're a veteran, a war veteran, Vietnam. If you don't have to be as graphic as you feel like, what is war like? You were there, you experienced Vietnam. The enemy's looking at you. They don't watch you around, they have a gun in their hand. What was the experience like for you in Vietnam?
Well, I think most people would say is 92% is boredom. 92% when you're on as an American soldier is, you're moving around, you're doing things, and, 8% is when you're in contact and firefights. And the military, what they did for me is to do things without thinking, not to panic. Not, when, you had to bring suppressive fire down so your guys could crawl in and maybe throw a satchel charge on a bunker or something. The military was that. But, we, as Americans, we have such superior force, in the air and in the sea. And it wasn't always that way, in War of 1812. But we have advantages, and I can tell you that we had all the equipment we needed. And going to Vietnam and those 9 months I was there was something that helped make me who I am today too.
Wow, what an experience. We have a common friend, Fred Holtberg. He's like you. He looks very young. The guy's 139 years old, and he looks 40. And I razz him all the time of being the youngest looking friend that we all have. but he's got a similar disposition as yours. And I just want to speak for him today. He's always working out with his dogs, running, walking, lifting weights, whatever. Plus, he's blessed with a disposition like yours, always happy. Does being such a physical, active person help your disposition?
Absolutely. That, and I think every athlete would say that. Just physically, the endorphins that go through you, and you're able to keep your self image is good, uh, and that's important too. And we're just one aside here that Fred was over in Vietnam when I was there as an MP, and that was pretty dangerous stuff. And I'm glad he didn't. I didn't see him, because if I would have, he probably would have thrown me in the drunk tank, and I wouldn't have liked that. But yeah, getting back to your question about how it does, it really makes a difference if you compete, and you can compete in playing bridge. Whatever it is, it keeps the mind stimulated, it keeps the body going, and it makes you want to look forward to what's coming the next day.
Could, like everyday people say, yeah, you can get in shape again, Henry T. I said, no, I think I'm over the hill. What do you think? Could you get old Henry T in shape again? Can you teach an old dog new tricks?
I can, Henry. I can do that. And we can do it with simple things like drinking a lot of water. That if you get hungry, drink water. The second is to do something physical every day, whether it's you walk a half a mile, start with a half a mile and then turn around. You'll start looking forward to that. And, if you have a dog, take a dog out and throw the ball. And I can't emphasize how important a pet is, whether it's a dog or a cat or a turtle or even a gecko, that makes a difference. And of course, the food you eat, I've found that in your cabinets, if you have small plates that you put your food on, you're going to eat less. Because Diane taught me that. Diane Chalmers taught me that. I had big plates, and now we have smaller plates, and I'm eating less. So it's amazing how little things like that. And of course, sleep. I take melatonin because that's a natural sleep aid, and it really, really makes a difference on it. And I make sure there's no TV in the bedroom, and I leave my iPad down here, and I'll read a little bit. But those are kind of things, and I'd like to work with you, and get a log, and we'll touch base once a week. And
Yeah.
if there's anybody else that wants to join us, I'd be tickled pink.
Amen. Now, how did you get introduced to your beautiful wife? You're lucky man.
Right. Well, we met in 2015. She had been a widow from Don Chalmers for about a little over a year. And she has a real good friend, and I have a real good friend, common friend. And they had a dinner party, and she was living in Dallas at the time. She had sold her place in Santa Fe. And we met at this dinner party, and she went back to Dallas, and we kept communicating. And then about 4 months later, she bought a little place on Canyon Road in Santa Fe because she missed it so much. So I got to see her. We'd come up, and on New Year's Eve in 2016, I asked her to marry me, and thank goodness she said yes.
Wow.
We've had a good, healthy relationship. It's been symbiotic. We've helped each other, and we try to discuss things and work on things that are good for both of us and our family. And her 2 children and my daughter all like everybody. So that's a big deal. And we have 9 grandkids, and so we're busy with those too.
Well, you're one of the interesting people we have on. We're doing athletes, interesting people. You fit in both categories, and you're a big inspiration to everybody around you, Bill. I want you to know that. I've checked you out. I've done my research, and everybody has a compliment for you. Congratulations.
Well, I'm humbled. Thank you very much. It's nice to hear that. It's like when I was a little league coach and kid came back and said, you know, you helped me, Coach Wiley. You know, it feels good, doesn't it? And I know people have said that about you, Henry, because I've been one of them.
Thank you. Bill, Wiley, we're going to do it again.
Okay.
We'll do it soon because we need some physical inspiration, all of us that watch this
Right.
show. I mean, this show goes around the world. You're famous today, but
And one last thing I'll leave you with. I'll talk to Art Garden Schwartz and Gary Johnson and tell them to expect a call from you.
hey, do that for me.
You bet.
You're my public relations man. Thanks, Bill. How do you
You're
feel
good, man.
today?
Yeah, you too.
How do you feel today?
I feel good. You know, my weight is good, and I slept good last night. I'm going to go to the gym this afternoon and take a walk with Diane and talk, and then the martini flag's going to go up at 5 o'clock.
Say hi to Diane. God bless you both, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you. I enjoyed it immensely, Henry. Thank you. And say hello to
Okay.
Jimmy for me, will you?
Amen. Jimmy's a great producer, so and he's a distance runner. You guys will like that together someday.
All
Thank
right.
you. All right, Bill. Take care.
Have a good day.
Boy, I told you would enjoy him. Man, Wild Bill Wiley, huh? We'll get him a nickname somewhere in there, but man, it's a happy man, a healthy man. And he's, you know, two kinds of people in this world, givers and takers. Bill Wiley is one of the great givers we'll ever meet. And nice guy, he led the league in that category. You know, speaking about a nice guy, Kelvin Scarborough was a nice guy. We're going to talk about Kelvin, but first I want to talk about another nice guy, MS Troy Drywall and Ben Lucero and all our sponsors who make all of this happen. And without these people here, we wouldn't have a show. And now we've graduated to GovTV, Comcast 26, and the great ProView Network. And people all over the world are watching this show. And thank you for that. We get a diverse group of guests from everywhere, and it's a lot of fun. Ben Lucero at Indigo Mortgage, thank you. The Amestoy family, former Valley Viking star, Pierre Amestoy and his great athletic family. And thank you to Evergard Roofing for their participation in our show. And Kevin out at the canteen. Got a lot of great people who believe in us. And if you want to be a part of the sponsorship of the show, call me, Henry T, 505-907-4523. Well, now we want to just zero in. He was on our show about a month ago, a former Lobo basketball great. You know, they're all good guys. But if we took a vote today amongst all ex-Lobo players, I'm sure this young man would receive the vote as the nicest Lobo ever. I mean, he did so much community work. His close friend, Hunter Green, I talked to Hunter yesterday, and Hunter, I couldn't talk to him very long because he was emotionally, I mean, he was really hit hard by the news of the loss of his close friend, Kelvin Scarborough. All the ex-Lobos are hurt today. But I'll never forget one night as we watched the Lobos play their great game, one night at Colorado State, when there was 3 seconds left in the game, on the road, and Mike Winters has the ball out of bounds. It was a setup play. Lobos are down by 1. They get it into Scar. He takes us the length of the court and slams it at the buzzer And a guy that was 7 feet tall, 6'9", 6'10", and won the game for the Lobos. And the celebration on that floor that night was incomparable. We always talked about that great moment with Scar, but he gave and gave and gave. Was always in the Native American communities of New Mexico, giving and teaching and coaching. He coached at Banal High School. I mean, you could walk up on him at any place, any time, and he'd give you an autograph. The kids wanted to shoot a layup the correct way or shoot the jump shot. Scar would stop and say, "This is the way to do it." Another great giver, another great, great friend, and one of my favorite Lobos of all time. We're going to go back in time here a few weeks. So we're going to put up the interview with Scar. He was in this studio right here, and we had this interview. Here is the moment in time with Kelvin Scarborough. Hello again, I'm Henry T. Welcome to the Henry T. Show. They call it pod. I don't know what a pod is. If you know, mail me a note. The Henry T. This is a pod. Not interested in pods. I am interested in doing the best sports show for you. And you've been there. You're helping us develop the most popular sports show in New Mexico right now. And the numbers are proving it out because you're there. And I appreciate it, believe me. And my friends are coming to help me through this comeback. Today, another friend has joined me. He's got a story, oh my goodness. He's going to have your undivided attention in just a second. People describe him as not only the best Lobo point guard, but the best point guard in Mountain West or WAC history because he's big point guard, 6'2", 6'3". I mean, quick as an alley cat, ran like a deer, high jump star. I mean, no point guard in Lobo history can say they had the leaping ability of Kelvin Scarborough. Wow. On top of that, a giver. Two kinds of people in our world, givers and takers. He's one of the greatest givers we will ever meet. And his story will convince you of that. Back in the day, what a thrill for all of us to go to Lobo games in the 80s and watch this man play. Today, he's come to visit you again. Didn't take much. Scar, come to the show and talk to all your fans. Man, he got fired up and pumped, and he's pumped up today. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, your favorite point guard of all time throughout the league, Kelvin Scarborough.
Hey, I appreciate that, Henry. You know, you knew me since I was 18 years old. I'm 55 now, so always had a joy with hanging around you. Always had a ball with being in the community, being in the state, and especially playing on that pit floor. So you know, it's just a family. It's just one big family.
You know, Coach Colson went to D.C., him and Shiat, and they went into your neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
And they told me, Henry T., we only had to go there once. And he said, yes, we got him on the dotted line here.
Yeah.
And the word was out that highly sought after Kelvin Scarborough, Jim Valvano wanted you.
Right.
John Thompson wanted you. There's a list of top coaches in the country that wanted you to be a player for them.
Right.
Congratulations, and congratulations to us. We got him. You watched him play, Lobo Stars.
Yeah.
How did you say no to Valvano and John Thompson and that list, Dean Smith and all the rest?
Well, I mean, it was kind of a big choice because I had about 60 to 70 scholarship offers from Boston College all the way down to North Carolina State to Virginia to. I mean, it was just different out here. And my mom said, Kelvin, you lived in D.C. your whole life. You need to get out and see the world. So the first time I came in the pit, it was over. It was a wrap.
Really?
Yeah, when I went to the football game and when I think it was the green chili. I think they gave me a green chili burger when I came out on a
No
recruiter.
kidding?
And I saw a road runner. So I said,
A road runner in the green chili.
oh, I went back
That's
home.
all it took.
Yeah, that's all it took. And a hot air balloon.
How about the arrival when you walked down the ramp and saw the pit?
Oh, that was amazing. When I came out on a recruiting visit, Henry, it was so funny that I didn't have cable in my house. So I stayed over Coach Shot's house, and he had one of them boxes where you hit all the buttons.
Yeah.
So I stayed up to 6 o'clock in the morning hitting buttons because I never seen cable before.
Wow.
And then when I went to practice to look at the team, I fell asleep. And Coach said, oh, we wasted a recruiting visit. And Coach said, don't wake him up. I was in the bleachers asleep. And I woke up, we went to the football game. But it was so amazing, that pit. I mean, because it was just super, you know.
18,000 seats
Oh, yeah.
on that day.
Yeah, it was amazing. Just to be down there and look at the crowd and feel the energy. It was just straight energy that I felt here, and I knew that this place was gonna make me special, to where it's been 37 years and I'm still here because I
Wow.
knew something. I knew something about New Mexico in the Southwest that I wanted to be in, you know. So
Man,
it was great.
thank you for coming here. You've given us so many thrills as a Lobo. But then after that,
Yeah,
becoming a coach here,
yeah,
coaching very difficult situations.
yes,
You took on the responsibility of teaching almost unteachable basketball situations. Next thing we look, you've got them in the pit.
yeah. I mean,
You have this gift. What is that gift?
just caring about the youth and caring about people. I mean, if you're going to coach, you're also a teacher. So you have to care about whatever you're doing. I don't care what work you're doing. I don't care what field you're in. You have to believe that you're doing the right thing. And my thing is that I had some great, you've been in my neighborhood. We had some people that come in there who have sacrificed their lives to coach us.
You want to tell that story real quick? Washington, D.C., your neighborhood. Tell the story when
it was
Bear, my son
Yeah.
Aaron, and I went there
Yeah.
to broadcast the game on television, and you said, Henry T., let's go into my neighborhood.
Oh, it was.
Tell the story.
It was. We was playing Georgetown, of course, and I had a chance to go back home, so that was amazing. And I took half of my teammates around my neighborhood, one of the roughest neighborhoods in Washington D.C. at the time. And of course, me and you went around, and you had the camera, and people start running up because they haven't seen me in a year or two, and your eyes got this big because you're like, Kelvin, they coming to get us. I say, no, Henry, they're my friends. And we ended up having a great time, and people saw that people from New Mexico would come all the way out here to do a documentary, and they embraced that. And after that,
Yeah.
a couple of more guys signed out here from that area.
Really?
Charlie Thomas,
Wow.
Yeah, all them. And then I tried to get Michael Graham to come out because he left Georgetown after 1 year. Great friend of mine. But Lynn Bias tried to get me to go to Maryland.
Wow.
Yeah, because we played together at 15, 16 and
Great
under.
big names.
Yeah. It was great growing up there in D.C. with Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amica, Michael Graham.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of us not knowing where we was going to go. We just was having fun. We was playing for a hamburger or a cheeseburger just for after the game. And it felt so good. And then when I came out here, it was that same energy.
Yeah.
to come out here and be embraced. And I remember, Henry, the first time I came back down the pit floor after we played, you have to come back down and sign autographs. To me, that was the most amazing thing. Would it be 25 to 3,000 people after the game? And I think the Lobos need to get back into that mode.
Yeah. Well, you know, that was a special era because we just experienced
Right.
Lobo Gate.
Right.
And then Coach Colson comes along and saves the day.
Yeah.
And he went out and got players like you and Hunter Green
Yeah.
and all them and Mike Winters.
Mike Winters, Larry Marklin, and then now.
Really, go down the roster. That's
Oh.
quality players.
Yeah, it was Mike Winters, who could have picked any school too. Mike Winters, Hunter Green, Larry Marklin, who was a great player out of New York.
Amen.
And Niles Dockery was here, but he had redshirted. George Scott redshirted. So I mean, you had Paul Connery from England. You had Rob Leffel. You had a lot of us
Wow.
who we didn't know the effect of the energy, because we was all freshmen. But you had your Phil Smiths, you had your Alan Delinskys, your Nelson France, and you had your TJ. And it was like freshmen and seniors, but they kind of mentored us to what, and I give a lot of credit to some of the former Lobos, Marvin Johnson, Phil Abney, Michael Cooper, who took us under their wings, Petey Gibson, Pokorski, and they always say, this is what you need to do this way, this is what you don't need to do, but you have to really appreciate the people. Because they stand outside, they buy tickets, is a line wrapped around the pit at the time. And that's something you don't see today. The student body, the whole university will be at the game, plus the whole city and the whole state. So that's something that I wish and I hope the Lobos can realize, the current Lobos can realize. These people come to see you play from all around. They save up their money, they bring the children.
Yeah.
And you have to go back out in the community and embrace them. It don't matter, because I've done camps all on the native reservation. I've been to every small town in New Mexico, and it don't even matter. It doesn't matter who their family is. You go there, because sometimes they can't make it here. So you have to be to where you could go there and really say thank you.
Wow. You certainly did that.
Oh, I had a great
Because
time. Yeah.
if we took a vote around the state, because of your giving philosophy and your giving ways, giving to those small communities as you have, you might be hands down the most popular Lobo ever, the most popular, because the way you have given back.
Well, I was taught that. You know, we didn't grow up with a lot of money, but you grew up with respect. Like you say, I've been around the world, you know, but I always done it out of respect. But I always come back here because Lobo Land always respected me. And now New Mexico, because they know I go to Las Cruces and do a camp. I go to Western at, and Hobbs and Highland in Las Vegas, New Mexico. So it doesn't matter. I'm all about trying to help to do the right thing for our youth to come up.
And people describe you as the articulate one. You're always expressing yourself so well. and that's been a catalyst for you to reel all those thousands of New Mexico residents in, and then go to their high schools and teach the game.
Yeah,
Native American communities, whatever.
I've even done camps in Mexico and El Paso. It doesn't matter. It's that I was blessed with somebody paying attention to me. So my job now is to come back and pay attention to them and their offsprings.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Gary Colson was your coach.
Right.
Might have been the perfect individual to regroup and rebuild Lobo basketball after we had our Lobo game.
Yeah. And people.
Gary Colson, when you think of him, the person he was to you, what comes to mind?
Well, I just think he came at the right time with the right philosophy to say, I'm going to just go get 6 freshmen to build with the 5 seniors. And Coach Shai was one of the probably the most important one that recruited me. Bob Lanford too.
Yeah.
So Coach Shad, I was in the gym. He came to my school and he came at night. And we was in there. I said, Coach Shad, did you park outside? He said, yes. I said, oh. I said, Coach, he parked outside. And Coach, we went out there. His car was on blocks.
Come on.
I asked Coach Shad today.
Really?
Yeah. And he said, Kelvin. He didn't get up and say, Kelvin, do you still like New Mexico? I said, I like him enough to sign.
Wow. See?
So,
and I don't want to discredit your community
no,
where you grew up.
My community is great.
But it was a tough neighborhood.
No, it was tough back in the 80s in all communities, in a lot of communities, in the 70s and 80s. But it was like, I had the best time. I grew up right across the street from RFK Stadium. You know, it was just 1 block away. And I grew up, about 10 blocks away from the White House.
Yeah.
But I tell people I lived in a white apartment building, so that was the White House. So it was just love. It was just a lot of love growing up in that era in D.C. Teachers cared about you from elementary to high school. It's the same thing out here, and I see a lot of people that we grown together with, and we still out here embracing each other. And that's something that I would love to talk to the current Lobos about.
Yeah.
You never know if you want to stay here. So always connect and build a network to where you could go anywhere in the state. You could do a lot of things, but it's going to take a community. It's not individual. It's going to take a community.
I'll never forget. My son was having all the kids in the 4th grade had an assignment. Bring somebody to class that we all need to meet. And the kids brought their dad, their mom, and a neighbor, a fireman, a police officer. It was filled with a variety of people. And then my son, who was with me at every Lobo practice every day, got to hang out with the Lobos. They taught him how to shoot and handle the ball, and Scar became one of his favorites. And he went up to Coach Scarborough one day, or then Mr. Scar, Kelvin, to him, would you be my guest at my special event on Friday? And Scar, with his great character and love for the community and his friendship with my son Bear, he said, yeah, give me the address. What time do I need to be there? And my son wrote it all out to him, even gave him a little map and directions of where
we didn't have GPS at the time.
Amen. And suddenly Scar shows up that Friday, and my son had no doubt his buddy Scar was going to be there. Yes. And then he said, this is my guest, Lobos, Kelvin Scarborough. Suddenly we had every kid in the school peeking into the classroom. All the teachers came by to visit, the principal, everybody wanted to see Kelvin Scarborough, who was in Bear's 4th grade class. Do you remember that moment?
Oh, it was wonderful. That's part of being a Lobo. That's part about, embracing the community. And I think you told me, you said, Kelvin, I think we're going to turn this into an assembly. We have to, because everybody.
It was. That's the best word.
You said, I think we got to go to the auditorium.
Yeah.
But that was one of my most funnest days, Henry. And I always share that memory with a lot of people about these athletes that stay on campus and don't realize there's a community outside of campus. And just to go there and embrace kids. I remember, I'm going to tell you about this story. Used to be the young kid come up to Johnson Gym. We used to play ball. And this young kid would come with his basketball and just sit there until he got in about the 9th grade. And I said, you want to play? And he said, I can play with y'all? I said, yes. And nobody wouldn't pick him, but we picked me and Hunter Green, and I think Larry Markley, we picked them. Say, you can run with us. Because we saw the dedication. Ended up being one of the best Lobos of all time. That was Greg Brown.
Wow.
Yeah. And Greg wasn't afraid. I say, Greg, as long as you can shoot the jumper, look, I get you the ball. But Greg would not miss.
Is that a great story?
And he ended up being, then we used to go to his games at Albuquerque High. And then down at New Mexico Junior College. But Greg always had that determination to put the work in and wasn't afraid. Because I say, Greg, you know, always try to foul out their big men and their guards. And the game will be yours.
But I tell you, that you would be entertained and be totally entwined with this young man today. What a story Calvin Scarborough has brought us today. What's it like for you to come out and you and I are doing TV again today?
Oh, yeah.
We've done it forever.
This is a great throwback, one of the greatest throwbacks. Harry, you know something, we always felt good around each other. We always embrace to what this is what it's all about.
Amen.
It's always, hey, like I said, you knew me since I was 18, man.
I saw you get off the plane to
yeah.
come here.
Yeah.
And already people knew you were a star.
Right.
When a Lobo gets off the plane,
Right.
he becomes somebody he didn't know he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
He hadn't even walked in the gym yet, and he's signing autographs.
But that's what.
Is that special about this place?
That's that is Lobo basketball. And Paul Weir, I was telling Steve Alford and Cribbs and them, but they didn't want to hear it at the time. I said, you have to get the players back in the community.
Yes.
You have to embrace the community so the community can embrace you. You know, so.
Speaking about Paul Weir, I won't go into detail.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you about one of the moves under his leadership. 18,101 fans when you came to the pit.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, it's 14,000. Impulsively, what does that mean? Is it the same place?
No. To be real, it's the same with the players on the floor. He felt good, but where's your student body at? Where's your community to where they selling you out and you know that? And I ain't gonna say it's Paul Weir fault or anybody else fault.
How do you get rid of 4,000 fans, 4,000 seats?
Yeah.
Just abracadabra.
Because
why would you do that?
Because they never embrace New Mexico. They never embrace the history. I'm gonna say Paul Cribb and them, Steve Alford and them. You know, they basketball folks, they athletic folks, but you have to embrace New Mexico to understand that part of it. And that's
but when you walk in there today,
yeah,
it's not the same atmosphere than when you came down the ramp or slam dunked on somebody. The roar isn't the same roar.
Well, I just think, Henry, they don't know if the player's going to last or going to stay here. I think that's what's in everybody's heart and mind, is that if this player going to stay here for 3 years or 4 years, or if they going to get in trouble or not. I think that's the number one question.
You know, you are so articulate. You're so fired up.
Yeah.
Such a great speaker. I think your greatest days are in front of you as a broadcaster.
Well, I just have fun. You know, Henry, that's just the love in me.
Hey, let's do a game together sometime.
Oh, we could do one. Matter of fact, we could go do one right now outside on the courts where people just shooting, playing horse.
Shirts and skins.
Hey, we go do a round the world game. We gonna broadcast that.
I would love to do a game as a Lobo play-by-play announcer and have Scar right next to me. Would that be a hit?
Oh, that'd
Would
be
we
great.
describe the game?
Oh, we had the most fun. We'd be the original sports center.
Amen. With your enthusiasm and your articulate delivery.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you what, I'm not bragging, but there will never be more excitement coming out of a broadcaster, past, present, or future, than the excitement I have in my heart for Lobo basketball. And I pray, seriously pray, give me one more game in the pit.
Yeah.
One more. Maybe your buddy Ed Nunes, the AD, will give Henry T. one more game. And I'm going to ask our fans to make that happen someday.
Well, I think you should be doing the Lobo Howe game, because you know how to get the fans into it. you know how to bring the fans back into it.
I'm going to do a game,
No,
Coach.
I know, but we could start
The
off with the
Lobo
Lobo
how?
how because they have to know who you are. Henry, if them players, I always tell players, hey, you need to talk to Henry T. He have the love in his heart for Lobo basketball. You know, I was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, great friend of mine. I mean, great person of mine. George Michaels, he passed away in D.C. He used to do the sports machine and put the local
Yeah.
high school and the colleges and give them time.
I liked him.
Oh, he was great, Henry. He was great. And he used to be our sports center in the 70s and 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at this micro mirror. Kelvin, I love your story. Brings back a lot of memories of my life. And he had a similar life.
Oh,
You are a big inspiration. Gracias, brother.
appreciate it.
It means
Appreciate
thank
it,
you.
Mike. I appreciate
Eddie
it.
Garella is watching.
Yeah.
Special hi to all of you. And we thank you collectively. Scar, say thank you to your friends.
Oh, I
man.
love them all. That's why I'm here today. Yeah, that's why I'm here today. And I love everybody I came in contact with. And I know we got a lot of things to do with our youth today.
Yeah.
And we just all try to help out each other.
What do you want to do in the future as we wrap up our show today?
I don't know. With all this choking going on, I just want to live.
Yeah, what do you think of the virus? Amen.
No, I just want to live. And my thing is to give back until the day I pass away.
Praise
Because
God.
that's what my mom and them did.
Scar, I didn't even want to end the show. But you got to have lunch, you got to go, and you brought your mask, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And believe me, I have mine too.
Yeah.
So, and we're like 7 feet apart, maybe 8.
Yeah.
So we're doing our thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful to you for saying yes.
Oh, I appreciate it. Him anytime, man. Anytime you ask. And I think, I believe when you got great people like you who embraced me when I first came here, it's not hard to say yes. It's not hard for me to go to a rec center or a school or anywhere else to say, I go talk.
See you later, New Mexico, USA, and around the world. I'm Henry T. Be here with me again. Take care.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier